Welcome to our 5 on 5. We're pleased to be joined by Wayne Shammel, the General Counsel at Cow Creek Band of Umpqua Tribe of Indians. Wayne, thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
It's our pleasure. So tell us, please tell our viewers what you do in your role as General Counsel for the Cow Creek Band of Umpqua Tribe of Indians.
That's a glorified term for attorney. I do have a broader role in helping with finance and business and social affairs too, but it just means the chief attorney essentially.
Okay. All right. Now, the Coquille tribe has purchased land in Medford and they hope to build a casino there. Is that legal?
Depends on if you're asking them or us or the Secretary of Interior. You know, with all due respect to my friends over at Coquille, I think they're taking a winger on this one. I believe it's going to be a long process, and it'll be a surprise to most legal observers and elected officials if they are able to do what they are planning to do. There's been a lot of competent legal counsel and political assistance for the tribes in the last few generations, and there have been changes and expansions around the country. I think the Coquilles are banking that they'll be able to do something similar here. But Oregon is a unique situation, and this is not Coquille territory.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Now, what, if anything, is the Cow Creek tribe doing about this?
Well, we're going to have to do a better job communicating about what the modern day relationship to the tribe and the community is and how that relates back to our historical geographic territory, and try to keep people from viewing this particular conflict as denoting that the tribal function and the tribal relation to the community is just about dollars. I can understand what the Coquilles are doing here. Dollars are hard to come by. They've got a lot of needs for their people and so on, but you know, they're basically taking it away from ours to serve theirs. So they're friends, but we're going to have a conflict. Mm-hmm.
And talking about territory, is Medford your territory, and do they have any say about that?
The Central Rogue Valley would have been the subject of the most legitimate historical claims from the Cow Creeks, who were composed of Takelman and Kalapuyan speakers, as well as the Siletz and Grand Ronde tribes. The Cow Creek Treaty Territory was just to the north of the Rogue River, but the removals out of this area took most of the tribes and moved them to Siletz and Grand Ronde, as well as to Cow Creek. So we had always understood and known about the potential for regulatory conflicts or communications that need to happen in the area where there might be, for example, bones of ancestors found or something like that. It's okay, well, these three tribes are likely involved. It was a big shock and surprise to find the Coquilles moving into the territory on presumptively the basis of some historical geographic connection. Frankly, I don't think it's really the historical geographical connection that they're relying on. It has to do with their modern restoration statute references Jackson County as a service territory. That's a little bit of a bait and switch, though. A service territory is not the same thing as a historical geographic region.
Wow, fascinating. All right, well, we're going to take a quick break. Sure. We'll have much more with Wayne in a moment. Stay with us. Welcome back to our 5 on 5. Again, we're here with Wayne Shammel, the General Counsel at the Cow Creek Band of Umpqua Tribe of Indians. Wayne, if a casino were to be built in Medford, what would that mean for Seven Feathers?
Medford's our single largest market for the Seven Feathers Casino. Canyonville is a small little town in the middle of nowhere. We have the I-5 to draw from. That's made our major markets into the surrounding metro areas. Medford's twice as large to us as Eugene is. I think that's a reflection of the ties culturally and locally between Douglas County and Jackson County. Also, there's a demographic in the state around travel and tourism where most of it goes south to north. You know, most of us aren't traveling to southern central California or Shasta. We're going to the lakes. We're going to Diamond, isn't it? So I think that's one of the things that drives that as well. It would be devastating to our economy. We have about 1,300 employees. It's projected we could lose between 40 and 60% of our revenue. That's 400 to 500 jobs. And in a place like Douglas County, you know, that's going to impact thousands of households. Mm-hmm.
Now, to a layman, please explain to me how a private, you know, how the tribe can purchase private property and, I guess, put it in trust and put it into a casino.
Sure. Underneath the federal laws, there are statutes that allow tribes to acquire land with their own money and then turn the title over to the United States, turning it into Indian country under the laws. It's similar to a military reservation or the VA or something like that, national forests. It puts it under federal jurisdiction, in this case under the tribe's jurisdiction, similar to the way the state of Oregon has its own jurisdiction, but under the umbrella of the U.S. government. So that's really how that process works. So there's a two-stage system that the casino project would have to go through. First, placing the land into trust. That will require a sign-off by the Secretary of the Interior, a sign-off by the Office of Indian Gaming out of the BIA in D.C., and then there's likely to be lawsuits after that. And then the issues in that will be, has the Secretary of Interior acted within his discretion? Are the environmental rules met? It'll turn into more sort of traditional land use discussion at that point.
Okay. Now we're running out of time, but I do want to get this from you. Is this process going to take months, years, decade?
Years. It could theoretically take up to a decade. There was some recent cases coming out of the Supreme Court that opened up the statutes of limitation timelines on the placement of land into trust. So even if it's not Cow Creek, if there are people here that locally that have objections, the chance that they'll be able to throw in an anchor over time is pretty good, and it could last up to 6 years after the decision to place the land into trust. So this is going to be a bit of time before it's a sure thing or an unsure thing, one way or the other.
Well, it's a complicated issue. We certainly appreciate you coming down to help us.
Thanks for the time.
Appreciate it. Stay with us. We'll be right back.